If you want a girlfriend within the next 3 months, this is exactly what you should do. It's going to come down to three major ingredients to focus on for just general dating success and then ultimately getting a girlfriend. Okay, so this is going to come down to three things: upgrading and improving yourself, then upgrading and improving the location that you're looking for a girlfriend in. That's going to be interesting. And then improving your overall strategy. So I'll say it again: improving yourself, improving the location that you're doing this in, and the overall strategy. Now, these are done in no particular order. You can work on all three of these simultaneously, but for the purpose of this video, delivering the greatest amount of new insights, shit that you've never heard, at least with like great detail that I'm about to break it down with in the quickest time possible, I'm going to start with the strategy component. After we talk about the strategy component, which is the greatest amount of insights and value delivered right away, I'll get into location, and then lastly, self-improvement. And also, you guys need to stick around to the end because all this is irrelevant if you don't know how to evaluate women. And I'm going to teach you the number one most important characteristic. Without knowing this, it does you no good to know how to attract women, because if you can't evaluate for wifey girlfriend material, you're going to end up with the wrong woman, and it's going to be a living nightmare, a living hell, trust me. So let us begin. Number one thing, improve your strategy. So the only strategy that's going to make sense for a guy looking for a quality girlfriend in 2026 is some form of strategy that involves volume, and more volume. Girlfriend quality women are rare because of the rise of sex work. It would just baffle your brain if you knew how many women had sugar daddies. They're looking up to social media influencers just because they're hot, not because they achieved anything. They're looking at models that go to Dubai and get literally shit on for 50K, and they think that's some type of glamorous lifestyle. Speaking of the social media influencers that they follow, we've seen a big rise. It's nothing new, but it's just getting worse and worse of misandry content. Basically, the average news feed. Oh, by the way, that word misandry means like hating men. It's like the opposite of misogyny. If you're a misandrist, it means you hate the male sex, the male gender. The average feed, like a TikTok, Instagram feed, of a hot 25-year-old is other female influencers saying men ain't shit, men are all bad, men aren't worth your time, you're a queen, you deserve a 6'5" millionaire who is simultaneously this savage alpha male who can put you in your place, but at the same time, he's also a complete beta simp that you can control, etc., etc. They're taught to avoid accountability like the plague, and they're influenced to destroy their looks with tattoos, piercings, weird haircuts, terrible boob jobs, and duck lips. Okay, so this is why you need a lot of volume. It's slim pickings out there. I cannot emphasize this enough. And if you guys leave this to chance, just like whatever girl you happen to swipe on while you're just taking a shit on Hinge for 5 minutes, you're not going to line up the necessary volume that you need to succeed in this. Smarter dating is not leaving anything to chance, and it's like running your dating life almost like a recruitment agency. So pretend you're hiring for a company, right? And I'm going to tell you guys how to get a lot of volume. But I just want to emphasize the importance of getting volume. I'm going to tell you exactly how to get a whole bunch of volume, most outsourceable, scalable method, okay? But the more candidates you get, if you're hiring for a company, you want to hire a CMO, the better you are going to be at filling that role. The more qualified resumes you have, the better person you will ultimately hire. And the same is true for finding a girlfriend. So if you do day game, look, I love game. Day game, I mean, I love all types of game, but I love day game. It's just really hard to get crazy volume with it. Online is the best. Remember, I was talking about the best, most scalable, most outsourceable method. It's online. I'm going to talk about the outsourceable and delegatable component of that in a second. But another good thing about online is you get to see her resume before investing, right? So you can see, like, is she showing off too much skin in all her photos? Is she going to all these, lavish restaurants, clearly having sugar daddies finance her lifestyle, et cetera, et cetera? You can tell a lot by a woman's social media. Now, the overall point, before I get into exactly how to succeed in online dating and exactly how to automate everything and exactly how to get a lot of volume taught in a way that's concise, actionable, and broken out with more clarity than you ever heard anybody fucking talk about in your life, I just want to say this: stop procrastinating. You cannot put this off anymore. About 60 to 70% of all romantic relationships, especially with hot women, begin online. I think a lot of ugly women are like too scared to use dating apps and whatever, but if you want to date somebody hot, your best chance is finding them on probably Instagram, to be honest. Look, again, I love day game, but it's not outsourceable. It's not delegatable. Even if you meet a girl through day game, you're going to do an Instagram social media exchange, and you're going to go from this like kind of like cool, confident guy that approached her, maybe made a good first impression, to now you're solidified because you have this good resume that shows wealth, success, status, great lifestyle, social, confident, all these things. So stop procrastinating. You cannot delay this anymore. Now, the key to succeeding in online dating is set up your profile with a great presentation. Now we're going to hop into my computer because I made a pre-recorded video on exactly what I mean with this whole presentation stuff. Let's hop in there now. Okay, guys, we're at my computer now and we're talking about presentation. Okay, that is the key to improving your results online with better photos is presentation. We're going to clearly define it and show examples, starting with chicken parm. Then we'll talk about humans. Why would all of you prefer to eat the chicken parm on the right rather than eat the chicken parm on the left? Because it's the exact same thing. If you were blindfolded and somebody was to feed this to you, you wouldn't be able to tell a difference from your taste buds. It's the same thing. It's a breaded chicken breast with marinara sauce, mozzarella cheese, and some noodles. Yet the one on the right, this one right here, is just a way more high quality photo. It's more colorful. It has higher contrast. It's more detailed. You can kind of see the 3D, the fried breadcrumbs right here. It's got the parsley flakes. It's better lit. All these things gives it a better presentation, makes it look more appetizing, even though it's the exact same thing. Well, the same thing works with human beings, okay? So I'll go through a couple of these photos quickly because I think you guys kind of get the point. Same man doing the same thing, walking down some stairs, yet there's a better presentation here. And if you want to know like what exactly makes a better presentation, I'm going to go through this quickly right now, and then we'll break it down and cover it in more detail. But it's the photo taken at a proper focal length, which I'll get into, a proper focal length. I know I'm speaking in tongues here, but you'll get it in a second. Lighting, fashion, grooming, location, and making a comfortable facial expression. So focal length, lighting, fashion, grooming, location, comfortable facial expression. I went through those super quickly. We'll explain those in more detail as we go through. But you can see here, on a rooftop lounge wearing a blazer, I look like shit here. I look great there. At a restaurant, just kind of leaning up against a chair at a restaurant, bad presentation, good presentation. You guys getting this? I think it's pretty obvious now, right? Here's the focal length thing, okay? I'm going to come back to like, the location and the lighting and the fashion part a bit more as I go through this. But look at my buddy Tiago here. Every single photo that you guys have ever taken that was on a cell phone, whether it was portrait mode or not, whether it was an iPhone or an Android, was taken at the wrong focal length, and it literally distorted your face and made you worse looking. These two photos were taken on this cell phone I'm holding right here. This is an Android Galaxy S25. I don't live in the United States, so I don't need an iPhone. And I literally took one photo at the normal settings and then fixed the settings, and then took another photo. These are taken 10 seconds apart. You see on the 25 millimeter focal length, AKA every photo that you've ever taken in your entire life if it was from a cell phone. The only exception would be if you use a DSLR camera or if you know how to fix the settings to make it 50 millimeter, which I guarantee you don't. His hairline is pushed back. He looks like he's balding. His eyes look super far apart like he's a fish. His nose looks bulbous and enormous, and his got no jawline whatsoever. Here, his eyes are at a normal distance. He doesn't look like he's balding. His jawline looks normal. His nose doesn't look enormous and bulbous. Every photo that you've ever taken, you looked way worse, way less handsome, way less better looking than you could have been simply by using the wrong focal length. And if you guys want to talk to me about building your whole high status profile, getting you the photos in the right focal length with the right fashion, the right grooming, the right presentation here, so you don't go with what I call here the camera roll photos. These are what I call like just, selfies in the street, wearing your glasses, making a messed up facial expression. If you want to go from looking like you do on the left, which means no matches on the apps and no responses to your DMs on Instagram, you want to go from looking like this to looking like this, there's going to be a link in the description of the video for how you can contact me to get this handled once and for all. You're not bad looking. You're just using the wrong presentation. You're like the chicken parm on the left, not the chicken parm on the right. And, this is one more example, just, a basic, what I call camera roll photo, just an unplanned photo. The fashion isn't good. The expression isn't that good. The lighting is kind of off. This is what we mean. Lighting. The lighting is amazing. Outdoor soft lighting hitting his face. The fashion is amazing. The location is good, grooming is good, and a good facial expression. So lighting, fashion, grooming, location, comfortable facial expression, and taken in the proper focal length so that your face doesn't look distorted. Again, this is just what I call the camera roll method. I'm not going to go through this. Most of you guys just probably have photos like this, and you're wondering like, well, why can't I get any dating apps don't work? Dating apps don't work. And like I said, like, even sometimes when you're like, you're like planning the photo out, it just comes out completely messed up. Now, when you nail all these things, the lighting, the fashion, the grooming, the location, the facial expression, and the focal length, like we talked about. And there's one more bonus thing, actually, which are the touch-ups, okay? So the goal here is to not go too crazy. I'm trying to put my face somewhere where you can see side by side. I made my arms, you guys can see this if you're on mobile, it may be a little hard to even see the difference, but my arms are about an inch or so bigger. Maybe I have like, I don't know, 14-inch biceps here. I were 14 and a half, and I went from 14 and a half to 15 and a half. I don't know. And I reduced my waist slightly. So my waist is ever so slightly smaller. My arms are ever so slightly bigger. And I brightened up my face a little bit, just kind of like fixed the lighting. I think I've maybe smoothed my skin out a little bit. The goal here isn't to catfish. The goal is what I call to make yourself about 10% better looking in a way that nobody would notice. Again, here, the skin's a little brighter. I just kind of fixed the lighting a bit. This little tiny gray patch in my beard, I removed that, and I made my arm a little bit bigger. Now, girls do this 1,000 times worse than we do. Here's an example on the face of a client. Again, the idea isn't to catfish. The idea isn't to do what women do and all out like make yourself 200% better looking like a totally fake different person, but just he's kind of cold. His expression isn't that good. He looks a little chubby, a little tired, and we just kind of fix that up in the photo on the right-hand side. So when you nail all these things, the touch-ups, the lighting, the fashion, the grooming, the location, especially location and fashion, women will assume not only do you look just outright like more handsome, right? Like just straight away you look more handsome. But when you nail all these things, you look rich. You look rich and you look successful. And we're going to come back to this, but think about this. What type of guy would give a speech to a room full of people? Would a broke guy with no money and no success in his career be talking to a group of businessmen in an office? Probably not. Same thing. Would a broke, uninteresting guy who had nothing cool to talk about, no wisdom that he accumulated in his lifetime as a man to share with the world, get invited to a podcast? Probably not. I will say one thing, these social proof shots where there's like women in it, they're okay. They're good. I support them, but their importance is way exaggerated. I'm not going to say any names, but there's certain people who will claim online that these are like the end all be all, like other women. Oh my God, like other women are in his social group. And oh my God, like these other girls like him. So now by default, I like him. No, guys, these shots are incredibly hard to set up. I had like 2 different LED light panels and getting the girls on time and make sure they look good. And it's just a nightmare. These don't pay off. They're not necessary. They're nice if you already have them. Don't delete them, but they don't do it. But the point is, based on where I am, based on what I'm wearing, and again, even some photos I'm in casual clothing, but where I am, what I'm wearing, the way I look, the presentation, I look absolutely rich and successful. And dating beautiful women, not ugly chicks, but dating beautiful girls, as we've talked about in the past, is a rich man's game. Even if you're more handsome than another guy on Instagram, or you're more handsome than another guy on a dating app, if you don't look rich, you're going to get passed up for a guy who does look rich, because as I've talked about, as I've said many times before, women only date up. They do not dream of struggle, and they will have a one-night stand with a Chad, a really good-looking guy that they meet at the club when they're tipsy. But if he doesn't have the money to back it up, he cannot retain her. This video is not about getting drunk in one-night stands. This video is about getting a girlfriend, and you have to have your lifestyle and your finances in order to support her lifestyle. Beautiful women won't be with you or even give you the time of day unless they feel like you have resources and you could not only be sexy, badass alpha male or whatever, but that you could also be a provider. So we're going to jump back to the normal video now that we've talked about photos and presentation and the importance of looking rich and successful in online dating. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that thing on presentation. That is how you set up your profile with great presentation. That is how you get a lot of matches on the apps. And that's how you get a lot of responses to your DMs on Instagram. And other videos, I will talk about how to meet girls specifically on Instagram. I've done it before, but I'll make a new updated version. Okay, so remember how I said that this online dating stuff is scalable and outsourceable? If you're a guy who values your time whatsoever, if you have any sort of high net worth or high income job or business, you are absolutely retarded to do this manually. To look for 20 beautiful girls on Instagram. First of all, I don't think you guys even know how to do it. I think most of you, quite frankly, are a little bit lazy. I think you've gotten complacent. I think you go and you take a shit and you swipe on Hinge in between like taking a shit, or I don't know, you're on a Zoom meeting, you should be paying attention, but you're secretly swiping, whatever it is. You're not doing this intentionally. It's fucking slim pickings out there. You need automation. And 90% of the women that you even get a response from on a DM on Instagram or you match with are going to ghost you. I read a study that it says it takes about 50 matches to get one date. Now, even if you're pretty good at this and you can do it to, 1 in 25, 1 in 30, if you get better than that, if you're like, well, I get 1 in 5 or 1 in 10 of my matches are turn into a date. You're dating mid chicks, bro. I hate to break it to you. If you're matching with really, really beautiful girls, like we've been showing some B-roll throughout the, video to keep you guys entertained and stuff like that. If you want to date girls that look like that, you're going to get a really high flaking rate because beautiful women are more difficult. They have more options, okay? So even if you can get 1 in 40, 1 in 30, 1 in 20, like the best you can possibly get if you're going after beautiful women to go on a date with you. That's a lot of work. You dealt with a lot of ghosting, a lot of conversations that went nowhere. Hopefully you know how to screen out and identify low interest girls from the beginning. But then how many of those girls actually have a good personality? How many of them show up and actually look as good in person as they do in their photos? And as we talked about, the majority of women these days are complete whores. They're tattooed, they're retarded, they have zero emotional maturity, especially when it comes to taking accountability. They're not feminine, they're not submissive. If you want a girl who's, for heaven's sakes, at least under 29, at least a 7.5 out of 10, feminine, lets her man lead without arguing, has a low body count, doesn't have tattoos, emotionally mature, that's probably fewer than like 1 in 1,500 to 1 in 3,000 women, okay? So you should let us do the heavy lifting for you. We have a service where we will build that high status profile. Again, talk about the presentation where you dress well, you got to be in the right locations, the right lighting, the right focal length, those little touch-ups that make you look more attractive. We can do all that for you and then get a trained assistant who knows your type. So he knows the age range, the look, whether it's skinny blondes, whether it's big booty Latina morenas, what locations. If you want to try going to other cities, they will literally act like a bloodhound or like a trained ninja. You know that guy in Taken? He's like, I will find you.
I will find you.
Like it's like that guy who like they'll hunt down the most ideal women for you, start the conversation. So they're literally logged into your apps. You get this, right? They're literally logged into your Tinder, your Hinge, your Instagram. They're finding girls that fit your type. They're talking as if they were you. It's very difficult to impersonate somebody. They do about 15 to 20 messages. Once they get a high interest girl that's on the hook and it's gone through like the little charismatic, funny, getting to know you questions. They've even gotten to some deeper questions and she's shown high interest. Then you take over and then about 80 to 90% of those girls will actually show up because we've gotten you further down the funnel, if you know what that means. You can go to my Instagram, which is RedbeardRants1, message me the word assistant. We can jump on a call to talk about, number one, building the high status profile that's required to get you all this volume and matches in the first place. And then the second thing, outsourcing it, not to make you a damn Bilzerian playboy so you fuck a whole bunch of girls, but so they can talk to the girls and filter for girls who want kids, filter for girls who have a naturally feminine personality, filter for girls who don't have their pronouns in their bio, filter for girls who don't try to steal the frame and then you propose like a normal nice restaurant, but then they say, hey, no, take me here to like this like Nobu, the most ridiculous restaurant. So they're doing all the work for you. Okay, so go to my Instagram, message me the word assistant if you want that. All right, let's move on. So the next thing is location. Okay, so we talked about strategy. We talked about how to build a profile. Now we're going to talk about location. We talked about automation. I pitched my service for you guys. Location is number one. Now I'm all for self-improvement. I love self-improvement, but sometimes you are not the problem. Even my millionaire Chad friends in Miami, look, I'm an influencer. I meet other influencers. I meet cool guys who are in our little, friend circles in Miami. I know many, many multimillionaires that are in there, not only just rich, but, tall, good looking, young, Chads, all these things. Even they say Miami is basically cooked. And even some of these guys are using my services to look for girls in like Kendall, Coral Gables, other parts of South Florida that are not like Miami. I mean, it's like Miami technically, right? But it's like not Miami. And just other parts of the world and things like that. It's just cooked there. It just, the women there are masculine. They're all gold diggers. Miami's not a good market. So going overseas is not an escape. Going to Colombia, Brazil, Poland, Philippines, it's not taking the easy way out. It's the most logical choice for maximizing your results. American women are actively taught to hate men. They're actively taught to be masculine, and they have comically, delusionally high standards, as we have talked about earlier. Overseas, you got to be careful. There are good and bad places to go, but generally speaking, the women are going to be more feminine and they're going to care less about looks. The audacity of women in America to care about, height and money so much, and then also add like looks on top of that. Look, if I had to be like funny, charismatic, treat her good, have a, overall like, high IQ, good leader, at least kind of like, average looking and be rich, and that was enough, that would be one thing. But I got to be like a giga Chad on top of that. And again, that's not all women in America. Plenty of guys that I know set up this profile where they look, rich, high status, all this stuff, and they still crush it in America. But I'm just saying that American women, because they tend to be hyper masculinized, and like men are masculine, so we get tantalized by we get very turned on visually. We want like a young, sexy creature who's like young and got collagen rich skin and a tiny waist and a big ass. Women become masculine in the United States, so thus they care about looks more. But again, even though most women in the US are bad apples, not all of them are. This is even more necessity if you're in the US to get an assistant who can talk to these girls and ask them particular questions to filter out. Like, for example, just asking a girl like, do you want kids? What are your political views? Things like that. Well, are you a feminist? Do you agree that like men and women should have different roles in the relationship? Can filter out most of the bad apples. And if you have someone running decent amount of volume, you will find good women in the US. Okay. Now, very quickly, we're moving on from location. I talked about this just to emphasize it is the number one thing. Self-improvement, getting an online dating virtual assistant, learning online dating, getting great profile. None of that will move the needle as much as location. So just wanted to emphasize on that. But you don't have to like uproot your life and stuff like that and necessarily go somewhere else. Okay. But just be aware of that. That is the number one thing. Now, let's talk about self-improvement. So you need to get good with women in general for this stuff to work. Now, most of you guys watching this, my content tends to attract people who need more just help with like the lead generation aspect. Like they just need more leads, more women, but they're generally pretty good and confident. I'll be real though. Some of you guys are not as confident or not as smooth as you think. If you can't cold approach a woman, be funny, charming, improv, manufacture a romantic moment right there on the fly, right when you see her walking in the mall or whatever it is, that's a problem. Okay. And like I said, I teach more of the lead generation aspect. But if you want to watch guys like Owen Cook, Austin Summers, and Todd V dating, these are going to be really good guys to learn, the confidence, social skills, charisma look side of things. Now, lastly, guys, we're going to talk about the looks maxing aspect of it. We're going to go through this real quickly. I'm not really the authority on this, but as a basic level, this should all be review. I'll go through it really quickly. Hit the gym, get a hair transplant, whiten your teeth, do a tiny cosmetic surgery if you need it. The good news is that you only need to be what I call a universal 6, which is me. Again, I'm not like, here, I'm going to put the microphone on my body for a second. I'm a giga Chad. I'm not super buff. I'm not super tall. I'm not super good looking. It at least looks like, I could, perhaps defend a woman in the streets. It at least looks like if I wound up and fucking smacked you, it would, probably hurt a little bit. And thankfully, again, I'm not a big, strong, hulky guy. Thankfully, you don't need to be. You do need to be what I call a universal 6, which means, you're not fat. You at least take care of your skin. You hopefully, got your fashion, your look, your grooming, your beard trimmed up, and you're at least not this like fat, gross slob that's gross to touch, because whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're Asian, women have different tastes, just like all of you and your friends probably argue about what an ideal woman looks like in the group chat. Women all have drastically different standards. And if you're a universal 6, that means to some women, you're going to be a 7. Some women, you're going to be an 8. Not very many, but you will be an 8 out of 10 to some women. And you might even be a 9 to some women, which goes back to volume. Let's throw up some more beautiful girls on the screen, Mo, my beloved video editor. If you're wondering, like, how do I get these girls? You know, the haters on Instagram say he pays these girls, he pays these girls. No, guys, it's just a shitload of volume. And the fact that I'm a universal 6 and I look rich, a lot of girls just really don't. You just need a minimum threshold of looks for most women. Once you bring looking rich and successful into the equation, and look, guys, I know I'm offending a lot of people right now. I see you running to the comments. I see you getting offended. I'm very sorry that you're getting offended right now if you're a brokey. You need to get rich. Women do not dream of struggle. Guys, I'm going to, let's launch into the financial part of it, okay? Beautiful women look for men who can upgrade their life, and they can't get attracted to a man unless they feel like he is superior. Now, you're obviously going to be more funny, more intelligent, more articulate, taller, bigger, faster, stronger. But if she's doing better than you financially, or if she just doesn't look at you as like you can be a provider as well, it's going to be hard to get for her vagina to get wet, at least long term. Now, like I said earlier, drunken nightclub situation, Giga Chad versus average looking rich guy in the club, the Chad's going to win every single day. As far as like just going into a nightclub, and if they have if they're both charismatic, like if the Chad is charismatic and the average, look, maybe in a nightclub, the rich guy could buy bottle service. I don't want to get like all down the rabbit hole in this analogy, but you know what I'm trying to say. To retain women, you got to have money. I'm very sorry if that's not you. Now, we're going to wrap this up with the evaluation phase, okay? So we all ideally, if you're anything like me anyway, we would all ideally like a woman who's 21, a 10 out of 10, bisexual, virgin, no tattoos, genius IQ, feminine, loyal, never done drugs, and takes accountability. However, that is what we call a unicorn, and unicorns don't exist. So you're ultimately going to have to make some small sacrifices. So first things first, looks is never negotiable, okay? Maybe in some realm you could accept a girl who has 1 or 2 tiny tattoos, maybe. Or maybe a girl who's slightly older. Like, let's say you have a hard rule, you only want to date a girl that's like 22, 23, 24 max. You meet this like amazing woman who's 26, 27, maybe you go a little older than what you wanted. Or maybe she's not quite as smart. Or maybe she's not quite as tall. She can't give you the insanely tall kids, whatever it is. But you never sacrifice on looks at least too much. If you're like used to getting like 8.5s and 9s, and then this really pretty 7.5 that's your type comes around, that's fine, but I'm just saying, don't cope, don't get with a girl that, because no matter whatever she is when she meets you, number one, she's going to age and she's going to gain weight in the relationship eventually. And then number two, she's just going to, that what we call, in LA, we used to call that new bitch smell. The new bitch smell. It's like the new car smell. Like the new bitch smell is going to wear off. She's not going to be as hot as she once was. It's called the Coolidge effect. She's not going to be a new novelty anymore. So you want her to be like at least like a 7.5, or heaven's sakes, at least an 8 when you first meet her, because then after a year or two, she's going to go down in your mind to at least a point, because you're used to her. So apart from that, you're looking for women who have a naturally soft, feminine, and coachable personality. So that's the key. Remember I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to teach you the number one trait. I'm going to say this again slowly. Apart from not negotiating on looks and obvious red flags like she was a sex worker or something, the number one thing that you're looking for is a soft, feminine woman with a coachable personality. And this is why. Women are constantly getting terrible social conditioning from social media, okay? You need to unprogram her misandry. You want a woman who, via your guidance and her accepting your guidance because she has a soft, coachable personality, that her role is to bring support to the relationship, like bring you support you, reduce stress, and bring you joy. That's her role in the relationship. She understands that she is not the prize, that you've worked harder to achieve more in your life, that life is just generally harder for a man. You had to become rich and successful before anybody saw you as having any value. Well, she was born with her value, and you're the mentor, you're the provider, you fix problems, etc. So you bring more value to the relationship. She has to understand that, at least, unconsciously, if not consciously. She has to understand that you make the decisions, that you're the leader, and that she has to bring on her end some value to the relationship other than sex. I will repeat that. Your girl must understand, if you're going to have a long-term relationship with her, that she must bring other value to the relationship other than sex. Now, this could be directly related to your work look. You know, if a guy like me, you have to think about what this means to you. For someone like me, she can maybe do small video editing tasks, do small administrative work, customer service, something in my business. She can cook, she can clean, she can run errands. Whatever it is, on some level, she has to understand that she doesn't just lay down and get fucked and contribute nothing else. And when she first comes your way, she probably won't get that. That's why you're looking for the coachable personality. Now, here are some non-negotiables that should be obvious. I'm going to go through these very quickly. Any woman with a very high body count that's been with a lot of guys, these women learn to disassociate connection and oxytocin release from sex. They're all bad apples. They won't really connect with you. Their brains are fried. Okay, there's no such thing as a born again virgin. If she was a hoe, if she's fucked more than, for heaven's sakes, 20, 30 guys, absolutely zero chance you could have any meaningful relationship with that woman. She'll always be looking for other guys. She won't be able to really pair bond with you. Okay. Also, a history of sex work, that should be obvious. A masculine combative personality, the opposite of what we talked about, even if it's just a little bit combative. Lots like excessive tattoos and piercings. It just shows that she's completely brainwashed by groupthink. And it shows that she's very low IQ, which is the last thing. Even if she doesn't have tattoos and piercings, you just don't want to be with a very low IQ woman. It'll just cause a lot of problems in the relationship. And again, like I said, guys, because there are so many bad apples, you're going to want to go to my Instagram right now, which is RedbeardRants1, and message me the word assistant so we can build out the profile and get a guy who understands what you want and run girls through a script, ask them the pertinent questions that will filter out just the time wasters and the validation chasers, yes, but also the women that just wouldn't be good for you. The women that have, feminist core beliefs, or the women that don't want children, or the woman that thinks that everything in the relationship should be 50-50. There's a smooth way to ascertain and get this information out of a woman. Our VAs have virtual assistant. Our virtual assistants that would be working for you, logged into your profiles, talking to girls as if they were you, know how to do this. They have scripts, right? So not only will they find you women that are beautiful, especially if you're kind of average looking, if you're that like universal 6 range and it's hard for you to get hot matches, and then like the really hot ones are always ones that kind of wiggle through the net, but it's kind of the mid girls that stick around, then you really need this, because like that's my key. I only get beautiful girls because I run a shitload of volume. The vast majority of these random girls that we DM on IG just don't respond, or they send one message and then end up ghosting me because I wasn't really their type. They can get like a quote unquote hotter guy, but to, I don't know, 5, 10, 15% of them, I am that hotter guy. I am a Chad to them, believe it or not, because some girls are programmed to like middle-aged gingers, I guess. So that is the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more. Cheers.